Good evening, I'm Vikram Oza and you're joining us on ET Now. It's Friday and we are taking time off to discuss the movies and script writing and directing with a guest who has given us some of the most unforgettable characters in Indian cinema. From the strict yet endearing Dr. Asthana in Munna Bhai MBBS to the no-nonsense Viru Sahasrabuddhe, better known as Virus in Three Idiots. And of course, the hilariously intimidating college principal in Mehuna. Boman Irani is joining us. He's always delivered performances that stay with us long after the credits roll. But tonight, of course, we're celebrating him in a brand new avatar with his film, The Mehta Boys. Boman Irani is stepping into new territory, not just as the lead actor, but as the writer and director of the film. A deeply personal father-son story, this one, that's already winning hearts on the festival circuit. And the reviews since the film has dropped on an OTT platform, they are heartwarming to say the least. And this is a film that's been over a decade in the making. So why did it take him so long to bring the story to life? Why now, after all these years in the industry, has he finally decided to step behind the camera? And how did he convince none other than Oscar-winning Birdman writer Alex Dinelaris to co-write this project with him? We've got a whole host of questions to ask the incredible Boman Irani. Thanks for joining us on the show. Mr. Irani, congratulations on the Mehta Boys.
Thank you, Vikram. You can call me Boman. Mr. Irani makes me feel older and I don't like that thought. So Boman is the word. How are you doing?
Very well, sir, and all the better for getting a chance to speak to you about this film, which is this father-son story. That's the core. But why was this story the one that you wanted to tell and launch your career as a director?
About 10, 12 years ago when I was toying with the idea of being a director, I thought it's very important to understand writing. And more than anyone else how I feel about writing.
Yes.
Because it is through writing that you can understand every single department in filmmaking. If you have control over the writing and the structure and the characters and the arcs and the motifs and everything, you will understand that, it's very much easier to become a director. So I studied writing it. While I was studying writing, Vikram, I was writing it alongside my education in writing. And I think it's held me in good stead. I'm proud of the fact that it took time. People say, why did it take so long? I said, I'm proud I took so long. Yes. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong in getting it right.
So it was important to get it right, Boman, and I believe it was a single line from Sujoy Ghosh. And that happened over a decade ago that sparked the basic idea for this film. So what was it about that line that stayed with you for so long? And why did it take as long as it did to bring it to life?
I don't know what it is about that line that struck me. It's something that hits you right here. When people watch the film and people watch the trailer, and they say, we are pretty moved by the film. It's the same thing that happened to me when Sujoy suggested this one-liner to me. I said, I want to direct this film. And he said, it's yours. Now, I don't know what happened inside of me. Something moved me. I can't explain it. And sometimes you shouldn't. You should go with the feeling. You should go with the instinct. And I felt, this is the story I want to tell. And because there are so many questions and there's no answers. That's the beauty of the Mehta Boys. It has no answers. What can I say? If there was an answer to understand what the dynamic between the father and the son is, and in that dynamic you say, so what's the solution? There is no solution. If there was a solution, they'd make a vaccine and stick it into the old man and stick it into the son, and then everything would be balle balle, right?
Yes.
But it's not. And we're exploring that. That's what I found, that there's an exploration which I found intimidating, and I went ahead and took my time to write it.
Yes, but why was it intimidating? Because, Boman, I understand, and this is something that is personal to you. It's about growing up without the comfort of having a father, and yet this is a story about a father and a son. How did that come to be?
Honestly, Vikram, I really don't have an answer. People keep asking me that, you didn't have that relationship. So how do you? I really don't know. Maybe I'm just looking for searching for something I may have missed as a child. As a child, honestly, I did not. Maybe as I grow older, I wanted to know what it would have been like to have a father. And maybe Mehta Boys attempted to give you those answers. Not yet.
Not yet. So it's still a journey and an incomplete journey at that. But I understand, Boman, in the course of writing this film, you started Spiral Bound, which is your initiative for screenplay writers, something I've had the joy of being part of. And that started during the pandemic. But tell us more about that. Was it a direct result of this process of you writing and later directing this film? How did that initiative begin?
So, Vikram, what happened was when I was writing the Mehta Boys with Alex, who's a Oscar-winning writer,
Yes.
and I would make notes and I would put them into a diary, and then would come and say, think to myself, is this, are these notes and is this knowledge good for just one film? I don't think so. I think it should be shared with other young writers so that we have a whole generation of writers that can give us good cinema. That's the least I can do for a industry that has given me so much. And I in the pandemic, when people used to ask me questions, over the phone, and we've discovered this magic of Zoom. You remember it as well as I do. And we started with some four writers, and then now we have 1,500, and we finished 875 sessions,
Right.
Vikram.
Yes.
And anyone's welcome. Anyone can join. There is no entrance exam, and there's no fee. So the idea being that if we can find 20 writers to write 20 scripts, and people keep, hopefully they have a career, but 20 great scripts, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, indeed.
I would be proud that there's a little bit of a give back to an industry that has given me so much.
Well, at one level, it is a give back, and one understands that, Boman. But what about the need gap, as it were, within our film industry? The need for good scripts. How would you put that down? Because a lot of times, the critics will always argue that we don't tell our stories and we don't tell them well enough. And sometimes we just end up replicating what exists and what has worked in the past, or then pull in something from somewhere else. Is that the real need gap that you're trying to fulfill?
Possibly, yes. I also feel that there's so many beautiful stories which can be great for a 10-minute narration. How do you spread that over 2 hours? How do you spread that over a web series? I think there are two things that are required. One is a lot of heart, which everyone has, and one is a lot of technique, which few of us have. And I think that it's that technique, I beg your pardon, it's that technique which makes life easier to come up with a story that engages over a period of time. I beg your pardon, I'm really sorry.
No, certainly.
Engages, it should hold you. And technique and the science of writing has a very big part to play in all of this. And we undercut it by saying, but here's the story. Here are the sequence of events. But that's not good enough. The sequence of events is plot. Story includes characters, what they feel, and themes.
Do take a sip of water, Boman. We have enough time, and we'd want to spend a lot more time chatting you up, because even this one part that you mentioned, you convinced none other than Alex Dinelaris, the Oscar-winning writer of Birdman, like you said, to co-write this film with you. Tell us how that collaboration happened, and how important is such a collaboration to create a film of this kind, where you're telling an Indian story. It's a very deeply rooted story in our culture. What did it take to get someone like him on board, and how crucial was that?
Alex, I am not a scheming kind of person, but if there's one thing I've done is make Alex my guru and a co-writer without even him knowing it. He the thing is that we bonded on films that we had seen as youngsters, miles apart, thousands of miles apart. And when we saw those pictures in the darkness of a theater, there was a bonding, and a bonding that turns around and tells you that we are on the same page. We both had our relationships or non-relationships with our fathers. And the moment when he spoke to me, I said, Alex, it'll be great if we can do this work together. And he says, yeah, done. I'm with you. I'm with you, Boman. And we became brothers. And every single day we talk. Every single day we think that movie is a hit or a flop, and I don't know. But eventually movies that that stay with you for years and years are the movies that really are the stories that touch you.
Right.
Box office, great. No box office, still great as long as it stays with people and they turn around and say, that's the film I truly love. That's my film. And and a man like Alex and his knowledge and his heart and his generosity, he didn't charge me a single penny
Right.
while writing it. Over 10 years. He didn't charge me a single penny. Who does that in this day and age?
But
Who
in
does
this day
that?
and age,
And
Boman,
it's
I'm
only
just
because
also
he
thinking,
believed.
yes,
He believed in the story and he believed in me and he believed, and I would like to believe he believed in my passion.
yes. And that passion is very important because those are the kind of stories that stay with you long after you watch the film. And that's what you're saying, that we don't have enough of those. And you worked with some of the best directors in the business, Boman. So when it came to the Mehta Boys, I'm wondering why you decided to direct it yourself. Because was that an important piece? Writing, of course, I understand you wanted to hone your skills. It was something that you were pursuing. We saw the birth of Spiral Bound because of it as well. And then you found a great collaborator. But tell us about this decision to direct as well. How important a piece was that?
I always listen to children, Vikram. Always listen to children. And there was this 11-year-old kid who came and told me, why don't you direct a movie? And I said, and it was his desire, that kid's desire, that told me that I should direct a film. And I asked the kid, what's your name? He said, my name is Boman Irani, and I'm 11 years old. And I want you to make a film. This is a 11-year-old Boman
Right.
who fell in love with cinema thanks to my mother, who used to make a list of films that I see. Back in the day, there was no YouTube and there was no DVD or there was no streaming platforms. You just had to go to the theater over and over again. She sent me to the theater over and again, and she gave me a list of films that she loved, and she gave me a list of films that my father loved. And those films, whenever they came to the Alexander cinema, I would go and watch them. Maybe that was my way of connecting with my father.
Right.
And she turned around and said, that's the first film your dad and I watched together. That's the film that Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. We were at the Strand Cinema at that point of time. This is the last film that he saw. And I've seen all those films over and over and over again, because I do believe that films have been my education, my window to the world, my window to travel. I hadn't traveled till I was 35, 36 years old. Until then, I had traveled the world
Yes.
only through cinema. I had understood music and art and culture only through cinema. So my education has happened, including history, only through cinema. I'm grateful for my mother for that.
Right. So a lot of that gets reflected in the first film that you decide to write and direct, and all of that comes into play. But let's be honest, Boman, you're one of the most loved men in the industry. So why did it take, as far as your first film goes, to write and direct? You waited this long, but was it the industry, the need over there, or was it something within you that was a calling? Because having gone through all the experiences that you're narrating right now, it makes you feel like you were naturally gravitating towards this.
I had to do it at some point in my life.
Right.
I had to. There was no way that I do believe that this kid, this 11-year-old kid, Boman Irani, has too many dreams, has too many wishes to
Yes.
fulfill, and I make sure that I'll make that kid happy. I will make my movies. I will go on stage. If I have to, I sing. I like to sing. I learn how to play the guitar. I learned to do photography, which, by the way, my father was an expert at photography. So I did that for 14 years.
Yes.
I wanted to be on stage, which my mama thought that I would be good on stage. So you've got to fulfill your dreams. Otherwise, you'll always be regrets.
Yes.
Regrets. I can't live with regrets. I mean, I can do with a little less success, but I can't do with regrets.
Well, one big regret would have been if you didn't have this very special cameo. Your wife has played a special cameo in Mehta Boys, and she has this small but rather memorable moment in the film. She's standing in the elevator with you and your on-screen son. How did you convince her? Because from what I know of her, she's a very shy lady.
She drove me nuts, but I'm okay with it. It's important that she was like Alfred Hitchcock. She made her little entry, and it was this cameo that was important. There are three ladies that make a cameo in this film that remind Shiv Mehta of his wife through their venis. And the first one comes and takes a picture, and he gets lost, and he says, "My God, I'm missing my wife." And he believes that the wife has kind of stolen the bag,
Yes.
which delayed his departure. Then the second one he sees as an illusion in the marketplace. And the third one is when he realizes that his wife is no more, and he accepts his, I beg your pardon, he accepts her passing. She walks into the lift, and he looks at her, "Hey, one more veiny." And the son said, "Now let it go." Well, my mother had this fascination for butterflies. She always, on my father's birthday and my sister who passed on their birthdays, she would always think of a butterfly, and the butterfly would emerge on that day. And that was the inspiration for the veiny motif in the film.
Yes. Also, you worked with younger actors in this film. Avinash Tiwari, who plays your son, Shreya Chaudhary plays his love interest. They're half your age, Boman. They're half your experience as well. But what did you take away from working with them?
Oh, half your age doesn't matter. Instinct and talent and dedication to learn matters. And for me, at that point of time when I met Avinash, and he responded to everything I threw at him in the audition. Everything I threw at him, he was up to the task.
Yes.
And Shreya, I mean, oh God, she's like the daughter I never had.
Right.
She's so beautiful, and she.
Also, Boman,
So half your age doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
These
Then there's
people
always
want
this
to do
learning
good
curve.
work. The
But-
desire to do good work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
And
they
you-
were so. If you, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that you've also set up this production house, Irani Movie Tone. I'm sure we're going to see many more films. So what's the trajectory? What's the kind of films that we can expect from you in times to come?
All kinds of films. They could pay apart. They could be commercial films, they could be blockbuster, they could be small sensitive films, they could be indie films. But they all should have a certain voice and a certain clarity of storytelling, and a certain quality, and a certain grace, and a certain dignity in the way stories will be told. That's the endeavor.
And finally, Boman, from all the films that you've done, I'm sure you get requested for one dialogue that people never stop requesting you to deliver. Every time you're on stage, any time that you're at a public event, and this is one because, yeah, you guessed it. I'm going to ask you to say it one more time.
Man, Vikram, don't make me do this. Because, the truth of the matter is, Vikram, life is a race. अगर तेज नहीं भागोगे तो कोई और आगे निकल जाएगा, and you will be like a broken anda.
Boman, this has been an absolute pleasure. The Mehta Boys, clearly a film that's come straight from the heart, and I have no doubt it's going to continue winning more hearts everywhere that it shows. Thank you for sharing this journey with us. We wish you all the success with the film and everything that's to come with it. Boman Irani, thank you indeed for joining us on ET Now.
Ever so much, Vikram. Thank you ever so much. God bless you in all you do. What a lovely conversation. Thank you.
Looking forward to more.